What's going on, guys? Welcome back to our psychology journey, our GCSE psychology journey, and today we're going to be looking at the effects of learning on development. So starting off with, we're going to be looking at Dweck's mindset theory of learning. And what is that all about? So psychologist Carol Dweck, who we can see here, proposed a mindset theory which focuses on how individuals view their ability to learn. A mindset refers to the beliefs and attitudes people hold about their abilities, particularly intelligence and learning capacity. Dweck's research showed that these beliefs can strongly influence how people approach learning, challenges, and even setbacks. Starting off with looking at the fixed mindset. So what is the fixed mindset? It's a belief that intelligence and abilities are static and cannot be changed. And learners with a fixed mindset tend to avoid challenges, fear failure, and may give up quite easily. So fixed mindsets often see mistakes as a sign that they are not capable. On the flip side of that, we've got a growth mindset. Now, the growth mindset is the belief that intelligence and abilities can be developed through effort, strategies, and persistence. Learners with a growth mindset embrace challenges, persist through difficulties, and see effort as the path to mastery. They view mistakes as learning opportunities. But how does mindset affect our learning and affect our capacity to learn? Well, one, motivation. Growth mindset fosters internal motivation, so students are more willing to work hard and take risks. Resilience. Growth-minded learners bounce back more easily from failure. And looking at academic success. Long-term, those with a growth mindset tend to perform better, not necessarily because they're more intelligent, but because they persist and engage more deeply with learning. When we think about things like attitude and feedback, students with a fixed mindset may ignore or reject criticism. Those with a growth mindset value it as a tool for improvement. So what about the role of praise and self-efficacy in learning? Let's look at what self-efficacy is and how praise may impact our learning. So praise, what is praise? Well, we know that it is, giving feedback, positive feedback to situations, to learning and things like that. So the way praise is given has a strong impact. We've got process praise. For example, you tried really hard. So that supports a growth mindset by praising the effort and the strategies implemented. Person praise, for example, you're so clever. Now this may encourage a fixed mindset by focusing on innate ability, so abilities that we're born with, not necessarily that we've worked to improve. Praise that highlights effort and improvement fosters motivation and also resilience. Self-efficacy, first proposed by Albert Bandura. Make sure you guys check out some of the videos on Albert Bandura. So this refers to a learner's belief in their own ability to succeed in a specific task. High self-efficacy is linked to increased effort, persistence, and improved performance. And this is influenced by personal experiences, encouragement from others, and observing peers succeed. So learning styles, we're going to be looking at verbalizers and visualizers. The learning styles theory suggests that people learn best when information is presented in a format that matches their individual preferences or style of learning. This idea became very popular in education, particularly from the 1980s onward, and is still widely believed by many teachers and students. Common learning styles classifications. So what are some of the classifications? So there are several models of learning styles, but one commonly referenced is the visual verbal dimension, which includes visualizers and verbalizers. Now visualizers prefer to learn through images, diagrams, maps, and charts, often find it easier to remember visual representations rather than text or speech. They might struggle to retain information delivered only through words. Whereas verbalizers, they prefer to learn through written and spoken language. They learn best from reading, listening to lectures, or explaining ideas in their own words. May find visual information less helpful unless accompanied by a verbal explanation. Kinesthetic learners. So these guys learn through doing, and they learn best by engaging in practical tasks such as building or making objects. So what are some of the criticisms? Now, with every theory there's criticism, so let's look at some of the criticisms behind learning styles. So despite its popularity, Scientific evidence does not support the effectiveness of teaching according to learning styles. Matching instruction to a learner's preferred style does not consistently improve outcomes. Studies have found no significant performance gains when instruction is tailored to a student's self-identified learning style. Students may benefit more from the methods most suited to content, not necessarily their identified style. For example, learning geometry requires visualization, while learning poetry may involve auditory memory. This is sometimes called the meshing hypothesis, which has not been empirically supported, so it hasn't been supported through research and experimentation. Overemphasis on learning styles can be misleading, and it might lead to students avoiding certain ways of learning. They might say things like, "I'm a visual learner, so I can't do well with reading," creating self-limiting beliefs. Teachers might spend unnecessary time adapting lessons in ways that have no proven benefit. So let's look at Willingham's learning theory. This is Daniel Willingham here. He's a cognitive psychologist, and he argues that learning depends on understanding and meaning, not on individual learning styles. Learners are more alike than different in how they process information, and that effective teaching should focus on the nature of the content and how we think, rather than adapting to learning styles. Some of his key ideas is that visual and verbal information are processed differently, but we all use both. Memory is the residue of thought. We remember what we think deeply about. So if we go back to our memory section, our memory video, we remember the levels of processing model. Practice and factual knowledge are crucial for developing thinking and problem-solving skills. Willingham's criticism of learning styles. So what did he have to say about learning styles? Well, he criticized learning styles as lacking scientific support. He argues that teaching should match the content, for example, use a diagram for a geographical map, not because someone is a visual learner. Good teaching engages all students, not just those who fit supposed or proposed style. He also believes that focusing on learning styles may mislead teachers and reduce the effectiveness of teaching as a whole. And in conclusion, while the idea of learning styles is appealing, especially for tailoring education, it is not supported by strong scientific evidence. Modern educational psychologists recommend using a variety of teaching methods and focusing on active engagement, practice, and understanding rather than catering to supposed learning preferences. Alright guys, hopefully that gives you a better understanding of learning styles and some of the criticisms around them, a good understanding of growth and fixed mindset, and just a general understanding of learning styles in general. And make sure that you guys are familiar with the criticisms also, because when it comes to responding to those questions for your exam, then you're going to need to know those also. Alright, so I will catch you guys in the next video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. I don't know why you haven't if you haven't. Peace.